What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Just a Guy on My Lunch Break, aka Corey. I appreciate you joining me once again. Before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and give the disclaimer. Subscribe to the channel if you've not. If it's your first time happening up on my channel and you kind of want to see what I'm all about, that's cool. You can do that. But if it's your second time, third time returning, or far better, if you're watching my videos every day and still haven't subscribed, shame on you. Shame on you. I'm almost at 700, literally 694 last time I checked. Would love to have that up to 700 before the end of the day. That would be absolutely fabulous. So if you would do that, I appreciate it. Talk about a little bit of everything on this channel. Kratom use, life in general. You just have to watch. I literally have touched on a million different things. One thing I'll touch on today is a part of life that we all must face at some point, and that's death. I have to go to a funeral tomorrow. I haven't been to a funeral in quite a long time. A good friend of mine, his father passed away. The friend who I'm talking about, I've known this guy for, 28 years, so going on 30 years now that I've known this guy. And his father was a close friend of mine. Well, when I say close friend, not so much in recent years, but I did a little music with him back in the day, and his father's just a really good guy. You know, anytime I hung out with Scotty and saw his father, it was always a fun time. He was just a jokester, just a really good character of a guy. Unfortunately, he smoked cigarettes much like a freight train and goes down the track, and he ended up passing away from stage 4 lung cancer and also COPD. He was only 71 years old. That may not seem old to some people. To me, that's a shame. You know, my father's 80 years old right now, and it's actually still in pretty good health, to be honest with you. And you know, my father-in-law passed away last year at 71 years of age, not from smoking or anything like that, but he was in the Vietnam War and was hit with Agent Orange. He developed Parkinson's in his older age, and it was that sort of thing that kind of, and he also started to develop dementia as a result of that. So it was that sort of thing that kind of took him downhill quickly, the development of the Parkinson's and all that. But yeah, 71 seems really young to me. And, you know, maybe that's because I come from, well, my dad's father outlived all of the rest of my grandparents, and he lived to be 103 years old. So, you know, hopefully those genetics will fall on this guy, right? But, anyway, long story short, I won't be making a video tomorrow. I have to leave work, you know, and kind of be out for a little while to go to the funeral. Then I'll be coming back to work to finish out my day, because Friday's kind of a heavy day for me at work. So just letting you guys know that today's the last time you'll hear from me for this week. You know, you might get a short or two video this weekend, because I do like to do shorts as well. But yeah, anyway, and this same family, I just want to say that it's one of those things where when you meet this family, it really does put him into perspective that no matter how tough life can be and how tough life seems to be, there's certain people you can look at and say, man, you know, look what that person's been through. You know, look what they're going through. Look what all they've been through on a personal level in life, and yet they're still good people, yet they're still smiling, fun-loving sort of people. Well, that was this guy's dad, right? And Scotty, my friend, the one whose father passed away, he had a younger sister, and his younger sister was born with cystic fibrosis. I don't know if you know anything about that condition, but that is a disease where people rarely live on into adulthood with that disease. And, you know, it has to do with you know, your liver, your body's ability to be able to process. I don't know what the exact medical, I can't give you a full medical breakdown on cystic fibrosis, but it's just a constant thing where it's respiratory, it's digestive. You know, they have trouble processing nutrients, you know, so they have to take all these enzymes. They're lacking a lot of really important enzymes that help you to break down food and to obtain nutrients. And, you know, they'll get mucus buildup on their lungs and stuff. Anyway, his younger sister passed away at 24 years old. And this has probably been 10 years ago now at this point. But it's only him and his mom left now. You know, the daughter, his sister passed away at 24 years of age from cystic fibrosis. That's something that she was constantly sick. You know, when Scotty was growing up, his parents were, you know, I mean, obviously their finances were just eaten alive by the fact that his little sister at certain periods of her life literally had to live in a hospital. I mean, there were times where it seems I would talk to Scotty, you know, every couple of months or so, and it seemed like every time I talked to him, he was like, yeah, my sister's back in the hospital again. Oh, what are you doing? I'm up here at the hospital. My sister's back in the hospital. I mean, she stayed in the hospital to the point where a lot of her schoolwork would be brought to her. She would be doing her schoolwork in the hospital, right? Just stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that this family went through, you know. And now the father passing away at 71 years of age. But you know, he's a fairly heavy drinker, and he smoked like a freight train, and that's definitely, I'm sure, the cause of the stage 4 cancer. But hey, you know, I'm not going to keep going on and on about it, but if you're a smoker, you know, take this story for what it is. I smoked cigarettes for about 7 or 8 years, and I quit about 6 years ago, and I've not picked up a cigarette since. And you know, when I see situations like this, that makes me very thankful that I have made that choice to stop smoking. But anyway, not to be a buzzkill, not to be a, you know, well, I can't be a Debbie Downer if I'm a guy, but not to be a downer over here. But anyway, yeah, so a little personal note here. I had kind of an epiphany yesterday, and you know, I've talked a lot about on here about Kratom use, and it's one of those things where the person who is looking to make the change in their Kratom use, they have to be ready for it, right? Doesn't do a whole lot of good for you to get some sort of outwardly motivation externally from somebody else. In other words, I've talked about how it doesn't do a lot of good for people to jump in the comments and tell me what I should be doing or what I shouldn't be doing. Well, I'm quitting and I'm almost off, so I feel like you should do this and you should do this, you know, and don't be a pansy and this and that and the other. Which, believe it or not, I've had that happen a couple of times. Well, roughly, that's what was said. But I really do believe that it's one of those things where people have to make their own decision to take that leap, to make that jump, you know, and usually it's something that happens that causes people to step back and look, as, you know, from an objective standpoint and say, okay, yeah, now I can see it, now I need to make the change. Well, kind of had something like that happen yesterday. I put in an order to get some more Kratom a few days ago. Well, the order wasn't getting here until Friday. It's not supposed to be here till Friday. Well, I was in a situation where I couldn't wait for that order to get here. I would have run out of Kratom. So I was going to stop and pick myself up like a smaller, not a big thing, but a smaller thing of the powder, just to kind of get me through until the order that I placed got here, right? So I did that on Tuesday. Once I realized that that order wasn't going to be here, I stopped on the way home and I got me a smaller thing of the Kratom powder. Well, I've talked about how recently I've not been sticking to my rule about just doing 3 times a day. I've just been taking, you know, every couple hours, to be honest with you. Whenever the feeling and the effects started to go away, I was redosing. And sometimes that was ending up to be 6 times a day, 5-6 times a day, you know, plus waking up and taking a couple of capsules in the middle of the night. So you can imagine, you know, my amounts kind of started getting on up there. And I suspected, but when I was taking the powder, I don't have a scale, so I never really measured it, you know. And I was assuming, yeah, I'm getting on up there, maybe 25. I even gave myself on heavy days, I might be even 30, you know, 30 grams a day, 35 grams a day, which is pretty significantly high for what I'm used to taking, right? Well, I've stopped and bought me a small thing of powder on Tuesday. Wednesday, throughout the day, took it willy-nilly, just like I kind of have been recently. Did not stick to the 3 times. Took it once when I got up in the morning. Took it again around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Took some more right around lunch. Took another mid-afternoon dose right around 3 o'clock, something like that. And then took some more when I got home, that sort of thing. Well, I got home last night, and you know, I had told my wife that I was going to buy this, you know, small container to get me through until the larger order that I ordered came in. And you know, I got home and I went to make my evening dose of it. After I got home, I went for, you know, a jog for a few minutes, and when I got back, I went to make my evening dose, and I got to looking, I was like, damn, I'm about out of this. The hell, you know? And I knew I was about out of it. And so I actually had stopped on the way home that day and got me another one of those same, you know, smaller containers. I was like, well, shit, this ain't gonna last me, you know, until I get that other order on Friday. So I stopped and got me another one of those. You know, like $10, you know, something like that. Not a big deal as far as price, but I didn't really look to see how much it was, right? And I got to looking at it like, damn, I'm almost out of this. What the hell? Well, I go in there and I look and I pick up the container that I had just bought that still had the wrapper on it that tells all the details about the, you know, container that you received, and had the grams on it. And I looked and I'm like, 60 grams. Holy fuckwad. You're telling me I almost went through, well, this isn't in a day, but it's like maybe a 36-hour period, so like a day and a half. You're telling me in a day and a half period, I almost went through, you know, there may have been maybe 10 grams, 8 to 10 grams left in the container when I had this realization, right? So you're telling me in the last 24 hours, I've taken 45, 50 grams of Kratom powder? That, like, there's no other explanation. Nobody else has taken it except me. My wife uses the capsules. You know, she hadn't taken any of it. And plus, I had it with me at work all day. And it was one of those moments of realization, of clarity, where I was like, damn, bro. I didn't realize I was taking that much, you know? That's high. That's very high for me. And last night, when I realized that, and I looked and I saw that those containers were 60-gram containers, and then I thought about the fact that I had blown through that in, you know, completely blown through it in a 36-hour period. I was like, shit, you know, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, okay, dude, all right, you know, practice what you preach here. You need to get this shit in check. So today, I took my morning dose, and I didn't take another dose until just now, right at 12 o'clock. So I completely skipped the, you know, mid-morning dose that I have been doing recently. And I'm getting back on that, you know, 3 times a day thing. And that should knock that down pretty significantly, pretty quickly, right? But I just want to let you guys know about that. You know, that's why it's important to measure. You know, that's why it's important to know what you're taking, because if you don't know and you're just kind of taking it willy-nilly based on how you feel and based on when the effects go away, oh, well, I don't feel it anymore, so let me just take some more. You know, if you're doing that and you're not really measuring it, I mean, some people get up to really, really high amounts, you know, and fortunately, I'm pretty healthy outside of that. I drink a lot of water, I exercise, stuff like that. So, you know, I hadn't really noticed any negative physical side effects per se. You know, I haven't been getting the wobbles. You know, maybe a little bit more sleepy at night when I go to lay down and I'm in a still position. You know, I can definitely feel myself getting more sleepy and like drowsy and stuff like that, because taking the larger amounts like that is kind of more of a sedative. You know, it makes you more tired. So aside from that, I didn't really notice anything, you know, major as far as anything different. But also, it's fair to say I've been doing that for a little while now. You know, I've been doing that for probably a couple of months now. I did have 1 week a few weeks ago where I spent that whole week just doing, you know, 3 doses per day. And, you know, I got myself down also to where I was right around 15, 16 grams. But I didn't stick with that. You know, the weekend came, I started taking willy-nilly again, and then the next week came, I was like, screw 3 times a day, you know. And plus at that time I had a lot going on. We were trying to get my son to sleep in his crib, so we were not getting a lot of sleep at the time, so there was a lot of extra added stress on me during that time. Not that that's an excuse, but it just is what it is, you know. I'm just telling you the facts of what happened. But yeah, anyway, so long story short, I realized last night that I'm getting on up there. And I definitely took at least 40 grams, maybe 45 grams could have been 50 grams in a 24-hour period. And that's just absolutely way too much. Immediately I've done something about it. And I even noticed this morning, because I skipped that mid-morning dose, I could already tell a little bit of a difference, you know. Not so much the low mood, because I still had, you know, a little bit in my system, but I could tell my internal body temperature was kind of getting a little wonky there for a few minutes. There was a couple of times where I kind of got this slight feeling of like sweating, even though it's like 18 degrees outside. You know, there's no reason for me to be sweating, because I'm a very in shape person, and I should never be sweating just by walking around somewhere at work, right? And I wasn't sweating, but I was getting like that kind of sweat, like clammy sort of feeling. And I was like, oh, hello, old friend. Yeah, was getting this slight, and I could start to kind of feel my you just kind of start to come alive again. You kind of start to feel alive again, is one of the best ways to describe it. I started feeling, you know, my bowels moving around a little bit down in here, and it's because, you know, I spent that extra time not packing in that powder, you know, that serves to keep you constipated. So, you know, had a little more movement going on down there, right? So I could already tell kind of a difference. And I'll do the same thing this afternoon. I won't take a mid-afternoon dose, and then I'll take my dose in the evening. And you know, from there, I'll sit with that for a little bit, but then, you know, I'll see how I feel on the 3 times a day, and you know, I might start to taper after that. But let me read some of these comments today. At Austin Nettlebeak 4876. Hey Corey, update on my taper. Started 25 to 30 grams per day for the last 6 or 7 years. On day 19 of taper, and down to 7 grams today. This has gone pretty smooth, but I think the secret is how much work you put in physically and mentally, just like nearly everything else in life. Very good point. I preach about that on here a lot. For example, I have been doing 45-minute to an hour of hard cardio daily, weight training, 15-minute sauna daily, 3-minute cold shower daily, weighing doses to the milligram, and journaling every night before sleep. I would rather put in all of the work and completely wear myself out than lay in bed and stare at the ceiling all night thinking about the consequences of my hedonistic choices. Damn, yeah. For those of you who don't know, hedonistic basically means self-indulging. You know, seeking self-pleasure, you know, self-indulgence, and not taking the hard road, but just whatever feels good. You know, that's hedonistic. Good word, by the way. So far, this is working well. Once I'm down to 5 grams, I'll probably then taper 0.5 milligram increments until I'm off. Half a gram increments until I'm off. I'm not sure how low to go before jumping. Any thoughts on that? Well, Austin, thank you for the comment, by the way. I think you actually answered your own question there, brother. You talked about once you got down to 5 grams, doing a half gram or 500 milligram taper, you know, cut it down by 500 milligrams each time after that. And I think you just do that until you get down to the 500 milligrams, which was 1 capsule in most cases. And then after you're on the 1 capsule for a couple of days, few days, and your body gets used to that, jump, baby. Jump. That's what I did. I was on the capsules. You know, I got to where I was down to where I was taking 12 capsules a day, and then I was cutting 1 capsule off of each 3 times a day that I did it. So then I got down to where I was taking, you know, 8, you know, well, I got down to where I was taking 6 capsules a day, you know, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 2 at night. And I just kept knocking it down like that. No, I take that back. I take that back, because what I did was actually cut out my morning time dose and my afternoon time dose first, and then I saved the very last part of it to knock off of my night times so I could kind of keep my sleep going, right? So I got to the point where I was taking 0 in the morning, 0 in the afternoon, and then at night I was taking, you know, 6 capsules, 3 grams, whatever, to try to help myself sleep a little bit and get through the night. Then from there, I began to chop down my nighttime dose. So then I started taking only 5 at night. Then only started taking 4 at night. A few days on that, started taking 3 capsules at night. I wedged it down, or edged it down, until I got to where one night I just took 1 capsule, right? Did that for a couple of days, and then I just jumped, you know. Then I went one night and just didn't take any, you know. I took a little bit of kava. I did take a little bit of I did take a melatonin at night just to kind of help myself, you know. But by that time, that's the beautiful thing about the slow taper. If you're able to remain focused enough to do it, that's a beautiful thing about it. You slowly kind of trick your body into resetting itself based on the lower amounts that you're giving it. So by the time you get down to 2 capsules, 1 capsule, and then you jump, it's not really bad. You know, your first night without any, it's kind of like your body's already kind of readjusted to just having very, very tiny, small amounts, right? So then when you jump and you've got that half gram less, you know, you might have a little, like, slight little discomfort, but it's nothing that's going to be like, oh my God, this is terrible. This is terrible. You know, you're not going to be in any full on, like, acute heroin withdrawal or anything like that, right? It's just, you know, you might have some mild discomfort sort of thing, but that's the beautiful thing about the slow taper, if you can do it, right? Some people struggle with it. I've been struggling with it as of recently. But, you know, it's one of those things where you just have to have your mind right. You have to, your mind, nobody can tell you anything. Nobody can tell you, this is what you should be doing. You should do this because I'm doing it. Okay, but my mind is not where your mind is at right now. You know, you're hell-bent on doing it right now for your own personal reasons. And I've been there. I've been where you are, you know, and I've had people, you know, get on and they're real, like, gung-ho, and they're quoting Bible verses, and they're, you know, using this for strength and that and this, and they're so excited and passionate about it because it's working for them and this and that, and they want to help you, and they want to give you some of their own passion, and it's understandable. It's understandable. And I've been there. You know, I've been where those people are, where I got to a point where I was just like, sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was fed up with being fed up, you know, and I'd had enough and I wanted to completely be off of it. And you know, during that time, I had all those same passions and you know, like Austin's talking about here, he's doing everything right, bro. You know, 45 minutes to an hour of cardio every day, weight training, 15 minutes in the sauna, sweating out those toxins, 3 minutes in the cold shower to shiver out all the extra anxiety and angst and stuff like that. You know, he's doing all the right things, right? And that's to be respected. And all I can say is, Austin, keep doing that, brother. You're on the right track. I would say if you can, you know, continue the same trend that you've been doing, I would say take it all the way down to a 0.5 gram and then just jump from there. You know, there's a lot of people that say, you know, well, you can jump if you know, you can jump from 5 grams and it's not that bad. There are people that'll tell you that. But if you're a person who's able to remain focused and can successfully taper all the way down, I don't know why you would put yourself in more discomfort than necessary. You know, unless you get down to 5 grams, 4 grams, and you're just like, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. I just feel like I want to take more. If it's something like that, maybe you want to do something drastic and just, you know what, just throw my Kratom in the trash, you know, go throw it in the trash can up at the, you know, some dumpster at the local gas station so I can't get to it, and then I'm just going to jump. If it's something like that, maybe. But if you're doing well and you're not having any real temptations to backtrack and to regress on your taper, I say take it all the way down, brother, to 0.5 gram, because the more you take it all the way down, the further down you take it before you actually jump, you know, the amount of withdrawals that you have are going to be relative to that, you know. So if you take it down to a 0.5 gram and then you're on that for a few days, then you jump from the 0.5 gram, withdrawals are going to be just so minimalistic you probably won't even recognize them. You know, if you get down to 5 grams, which is 10 capsules, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm going to jump, you know, you can expect, you know, more discomfort to come with that, right? It's relative. But anyway, thank you for that, man. Thank you for the comment there. Good luck. Keep us updated. At Bob Lossy, 3192, sounds like your son is an introvert. I was like him. I still am. And when I started kindergarten in 1961, my family lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and the elementary school was over 1.5 miles from my home. I walked to and from school alone in kindergarten. Yeah. Oh, man. Looking back at it, I really questioned their decision on that. Yeah, well, but here you are. Here you are. You made it. You know, you're still alive. Yeah, Bob, thank you, man. No, he is an introvert. And it's funny because my wife, who, you know, she's not his biological mom, she's a stepmom, but she's known him since he was a 5-year-old kid. You know, she's known him most of his life. And she is the exact opposite of an introvert. You know, my wife is a very outwardly social sort of individual. That's one of the things that makes her so good at sales. She's a talker. She's a communicator, you know, and she can gab it up with anyone, you know, just like that, and not have to think about it. So for her, the fact that he's such an introvert really, especially, you know, when he got to be a teenager, that really bothered her. You know, she's thinking it's something that we both were. We kind of, for a long time there, were thinking that's something we need to change. That's something we kind of need to try to help fix with him, you know, encourage him to have some friends over, encourage him to talk to people, encourage him to have conversations with people he doesn't know at places where he doesn't know people. You know, we're thinking all these things that we need to try to do to help it. But we finally got to a point where, you know, maybe it's okay. You know, maybe that's just who he is, you know. And my brother-in-law, my wife's older brother, was very much like that. And she talked about it. And we had a conversation one night. She was like, you know what, though? It's okay. I mean, he's a good kid. He's a hard-working kid. He's very much an introvert. And he's very much like my older brother. That's what she said, because her older brother, I mean, this guy went all through high school, never dated a girl, never had a girlfriend, and he's a good-looking dude. He is absolutely a good-looking dude. My brother-in-law, handsome guy, smart individual. There is absolutely no doubt he could have had some girlfriends if he would have, you know, if that would have been something that was a focus for him, right? But he's just a very shy, introverted individual, and he ended up not even dating anyone until he got in college, and then he met his wife, and then I'm not sure if she was the first person that he ever dated, but I'm talking about the person that he's married to now is probably one of a small handful of women that he's ever actually dated. And this guy's 40 something years old now, early 40s. So my son's that same way. He's not really interested in dating girls. I mean, he's had a couple of girls here and there that he's liked and talked to a little bit, but he's not the kind of person that's just gonna settle and gonna be with some girl just because, just so he's not lonely, or just so he's got somebody to be with. He's not built that way, you know. And he is very much to himself, and I'm getting to a point now where it's like, you know what, that's him, that's who he is, that's okay, you know. And we've come more to a point of just trusting the process, you know. As long as I'm not looking at him and seeing any major red flags and going in his room and finding drawings of him walking around in a black trench coat holding a weapon. Not to laugh about that, because it's a horrible thing, but, you know, as long as I'm not seeing those sort of red flags in his life, and we look, you know, we pay attention to that sort of thing. So as long as we're not seeing that, we're like, you know, maybe we shouldn't be treating this like he's broken and we need to try to fix him. Maybe it's just the way he is, and maybe that's okay. And I gotta be honest, I would rather him not be dating girls at 17 years old while he's still in high school. I would rather him do that. You know, I was already had my little girlfriends, my little side pieces. I had all that when I was in high school, when I was a young man. And the only thing that it did was kept me from really focusing on stuff that I should have been focusing on. Should have been focusing on what I was going to do for a career. Should have been focusing on my schoolwork so that I could make good grades, or so that I could get into a good college. You think I was focused on that shit? No, I was not. I was focused on what my little girlfriend was doing, who she was talking to at school, and what other little horny ass teenage boy was trying to talk to her, when I was gonna get, you know, who I was gonna get drunk with that weekend. You know, I was focused on all these things that I shouldn't have been focused on at that age. Well, my son's not focused on those things, and I've come to the conclusion that that's not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, Bob, he said he's still like that, and you were in kindergarten in 1961, so you're a guy who's older than I am, so you know a few things, and apparently you turned out okay. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that comment. He says here too, I was self-employed and I never took more than a 5-day vacation. If I had allowed myself a 2 or 3 week vacation, I would not have wanted to go back to work. Whew. Amen for that, brother. Amen for that. The longer you're off, the harder it makes it to go back. I'm gonna finish up with this one right here, guys, because I don't have but a couple of minutes before this phone will cut me off. At Who Cares 4464, pray for my brother. He was just admitted to the hospital with diabetic complications. He woke up and he couldn't see. His vision did come back, but he's in the hospital getting himself checked out. Ugh, life has been throwing me lemons, man. Hey, brother, I've already, you know, personally messaged you back here for support. Hit us up anytime. Love you very much, man. We're all pulling for you here. Everyone under the sound of my voice right now, say a quick prayer. You know, say a quick prayer for his brother, that, you know, he's going to come out the other side of it. I think he's doing better. I did talk to him a little bit via, you know, commenting back and forth, but yeah, praying for your brother, man. Praying for you. He's going to get through it. It'll be fine, bro. It'll be fine. And stop spying on me. I've been working at a grocery store for years. I've been told I'm hyperactive. I'm still fucking exhausted at the end of the day. Kratom is fantastic for the pain and energy. I agree. Unfortunately, that can take a downward turn once you get to the higher amounts of it. We've discussed that on here. But yeah, no, it is absolutely good for it, especially in the short term. Isn't it amazing how a good vacation is just sitting in the middle of nowhere doing nothing? Why a society so shit that we only get to do it once or twice a year? But some people do it more, bro. That's something, I'll tell you, if I get another job after this one, I'm looking for that. I only get 2 weeks where I'm at, and that's depressing, man. I agree with you. Man, I took a week off of work to quit Kratom. Not sure if I want to waste it withdrawing. Yeah, I thought you might say that. When people say, you know, I took a week of vacation and now I'm gonna use that time to withdraw, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Seems like a wasted vacation. You want to spend time relaxing and chilling and having a good time on your vacation. You don't want to spend it in a self-induced hell when you're withdrawing. But maybe just do a taper, man, and keep it rolling while you're at work. You know, it's hard, but it's doable. It's what I plan to do, you know, when I eventually come completely off of it. I gotta go. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and like the video. We'll see you next time. Peace.